Man, this has been a dream over the last 2 seasons. How are y'all doing? It's JT Productions. I just got back from watching the game at Stegman Coliseum, and oh my gosh, the atmosphere there. It's probably the second best to actually going to the national championship. At least it was for us. It was a great atmosphere. I loved every second of it, and what a game! It's Kirby let the guys play. That's what I loved about tonight. You, if this was Kirby from 2018, 2019, even 2017 to some extent, he would have, after halftime, put Carson Beck in, ran the ball, and just chew the clock the rest of the game. And would have not been doing well on third down. And honestly, he did that a lot early this season. And I'm just glad to see that he finally decided to let the guys loose, let them play for themselves, let them show what they can do since this is the last game of the year. So let me just start out by talking about a player that I've been hard on. Now, I was hard on for 2 years straight. Well, a year and a half. Anyways. And he finally proved me wrong so many times, Stetson Bennett. I tell you, I remember I remember him coming in 2020. No, I remember him coming in garbage time in 2019 for Jake Fromm in some of the games we were blowing out teams, which was not a lot in 2019 because our offense was horrible. But I remember him coming in, seeing him throw the ball, being like, okay, he can throw it, and then being scared to death when Fromm went down with an injury in that SEC championship against LSU in 2019, and Stetson's first pass was almost a pick. That scared me half to death. But then after that, 2020 comes around. Dwan Mathis, we think he's going to be a good starter. He comes out flat against Arkansas. He just doesn't look like a Power 5 level quarterback. And then you got Stetson coming in, who looks like who's a lot shorter than Dwan Mathis was, and about 150 pounds soaking wet. He comes in, absolutely lights the world on fire against Arkansas. I think he threw for 2 touchdowns, and did he run for one? I don't remember if he ran for one, but he brought us to a win in that game. Then in his first start against Auburn, a game to where he had a special connection to because he watched it and he loved watching it as a kid. He came in, absolutely showed out against Auburn. The first play I remember is when they brought pressure and Stetson just rolled away from the pressure and threw a strike to Kyrus Jackson. After that game where he impressed, he had another game against Tennessee to where he did well. And then the Alabama game came where he threw 3 picks, which he looked good in the first half. It's just he was not ready for that situation. The lights got too bright for him. He was never the same after that season. He struggled against Kentucky, and then he really struggled against Florida after getting hurt and playing through that injury. But we didn't see him the rest of the season that year. And into 2021, we didn't expect to see him at all. Because we thought Carson Beck had jumped in the depth chart. We thought we may see him in garbage time and anything, but then when JT Daniels went down, and we were expecting Carson Beck to come out and start against Arkansas, here comes Stetson Bennett, and he lit the world on fire. Carson Beck it was UAB, not Arkansas just yet. He lit the world on fire. And we were like, okay, cool. And then he came in against Arkansas, and we were scared to death. Or I was scared to death for him to throw. Sorry from horse. Like I said, just came from cheering on the dogs. But he came in, and he managed the game. He did well. And what was crazy, I doubted him so much that season. I knew that without JT Daniels, with his arm talent, we were not going to make it and win the national championship. Because I said, after the 2020 season, if this roster stays healthy, we were going to win a national championship. I didn't think we were going to. But Stetson got better over the year every game. he got better. And when it came to the SEC championship, I was optimistic. I was like, okay, defense. Bryce Young and the Alabama offensive line has been sacked multiple times this year. Let's see what you can do. And we came up flat. They had the best game plan against us. Stetson threw two interceptions in that game, including a pick six. And at that point, I was like, it's time to bench Stetson Bennett for JT Daniels. Kirby didn't do it, and I'm glad he didn't. Stetson comes out against Michigan, has one of his best games I've ever seen. Then he comes out against Alabama, and in the fourth quarter, just lights it on fire and throws one of the best passes I've ever seen. I swear, when he lets go that ball, I can hear the wind off that pass come off every time. At first I heard it, and each time I hear it now, I hear it every time. And now in 2022, after that, after he won the Natty, he had my full backing behind him. I wasn't gonna be a daggum Disney dog and say and he can do no wrong, but I was gonna be behind him, say he was our starting quarterback. And you know what? He did very well. He was a daggum Heisman finalist, for gosh sake. But he was never a quitter. I gotta give him that. One of the best quarterbacks in UGA history. If you didn't know tonight, he passed Aaron Murray for the most passing yards in a single season. He's the first UGA quarterback to pass for over 4,000 yards in the season. He tied Joe Burrow's touchdown record in a national championship. He helped put up 65 points on the Texas Christian University Horned Frogs. I mean, Stetson Bennett has earned every right to be a legend as a Georgia Bulldog. He had an amazing game. He has grown so much. I don't care if he's a long time backup, gets a start in the NFL. He's going to be in the College Football Hall of Fame eventually. And hell, who knows? He could come be a coach at Georgia. He could go do accounting like his major is. He could do whatever. He's always going to be a legend in Athens. He's never going to buy another meal in Athens, Georgia after what he's done for us. And he's just going to be a legend. Now, let's talk about the rest of the team. The running game was good. It wasn't anything special. I mean, we just ran when we needed to set up the pass, and when we set up the pass, Stetson Bennett passed it to either Brock Bowers, Ladd McConkey, A.D. Mitchell, Arian Smith when he needed to, even Darnell Washington once. And even to the running backs, Stetson Bennett shared the wealth so much. And the thing was, the TCU could not stop Brock Bowers tonight. And it was ugly. They couldn't stop Ladd McConkey really either. But it was just an amazing sight. The offensive line played amazing. I don't think they got a hand on Stetson Bennett. Stetson even had 2 rushing touchdowns. It's just an amazing game. Defensively, we played great. The only time we gave up points was a busting coverage in the first quarter where Keeley and Javon Bullard were trying to double cover Quentin Johnston when Tay Barber got wide open on the sideline. But besides that, and they got the touchdown with Max Duggan. I'm glad Max Duggan did get a touchdown. I do have respect for him. He's a fighter. Him and Stetson are really alike in that regard. But anyways, we played good. You got to see some backups get in the fourth quarter, including Carson Beck, who should be our starter next year probably, and Branson Robinson, 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. He's going to be special. And the defense, oh my gosh. We saw a lot of young guys. Bear Alexander, through the whole game we saw him. He had 2 sacks. You saw people like Jelon Walker, or is it Jelon? Anyways, you had, I don't know if Warren Brinson is a freshman, but he was showing bright spots. You had Michael Williams. You had, what's it called? what's he called? I think it's Jalen Walker. Jalen Walker, he got in the fourth quarter and played good. You had Tresman Marshall, you had Small London, Jim London Miss Johnson played well. It was just a great game all around. I hated Podless. He missed that last PAT. Gosh, he was doing so well, but I mean, I'd rather him missed one of those and it not matter than one that did matter. But it was a great game. You know what? I'm going to point something out. The starting of this decade, 2020, 2021, 2022, very similar to the start of the 2010s. Just hear me out here. 2010, you have a great team, go undefeated, win the national championship, and it's not really that close against the team they play. The next 2 years, you have a good team, or the next year, you have a great team go up against another great team and get beat. The next time they meet in the national championship, the team that got beat that team. The next year, that team that won that national championship runs the table, and the game right before the national championship plays the game that should have been the national championship, as close as it was. In 2012, it was Alabama-Georgia in the SEC championship. 2022, it was Georgia-Ohio State in the Peach Bowl. And then the national championship is a blowout. So, that's just what I think. Now, season for everybody is over. Georgia, 2 national championships under Kirby Smart. We are in the golden years of the Georgia football program. As long as Kirby's here, we're going to be winning a minimum of 10 to 11 games and a maximum of national titles. Kirby Smart is a great head coach. We got Todd Monken. As long as we have him, we're going to have a great offense. I have a feeling we may lose one of our co-defensive coordinators, but besides that, our staff, maybe some other assistant coaches, our staff's going to remain sort of the same. Quarterback next year, Carson Beck, Brock Vandegrift, or Gunnar Stockton. In my opinion, I think it's going to be Carson, and eventually I think Brock Vandegrift is going to transfer because I think he's going to see that his time at Georgia may be coming to an end because of Gunnar Stockton kind of scaring him that he may get jumped. And then I think Gunnar will be the backup to Carson. Running back situation, we're getting Kendall Milton back. We still have Dejon Edwards, and we got Branson Robinson. Branson Robinson should get a lot more carries next year, and I think he'll benefit from it. Then, wide receivers. We're getting 2 transfer portal wide receivers, but the starter is most likely still going to be the, it's probably still going to be A.D. Mitchell. We're going to have A.D. Mitchell, transfer wide receiver Robert Thomas from Mississippi State, and transfer wide receiver Dominic Lovett from Missouri, the 4th leading receiver in the SEC this year. Other than that, we'll have, unless they transfer, we'll have Vlad McConkey, we'll have Arian Smith, we'll have Marcus Rosemy-Jack-Saint. Those 3, I don't think Ladd would transfer, but Arian Smith, or I think the most realistic would be Rosemy-Jack-Saint transferring. I would hate them to transfer, but I get it why. Jackson Meeks, I think he will transfer because of him being buried on the depth chart. But besides that, I think we're good at the wide receiver position. Tight end, Brock Bowers, Oscar Delp. I think Darnell Washington's gone to the NFL. Then we got Pierce Spurlin, and we may get Deuce Robinson out of this recruiting class, the top 2 tight ends in this recruiting class. Offensive line, we're probably losing Warren McClendon and Broderick Jones, but the thing is with Kirby, he reloads an offensive line every year. And he thrives on building the lines of scrimmage. Defensively, we have a lot of young guys. We have people like Warren Brinson, Jamon Duvis Johnson, Smile Munden, Tresman Marshall, Michael Williams, Marvin Jones Jr., Jalen Walker. The list goes on and on. The main thing that we got to worry about is replacing Keely Ringo. He's most likely gone. So we could either see Kamari Lassiter go into that position, or maybe even Malachi Starks. I doubt it, but maybe. Most likely it's going to be Kamari Lassiter. Safeties, we got Tyke Smith. If he doesn't leave for the NFL draft, I don't think he will. And Dan Jackson, who will be coming back from injury. Kicker, I think Podlesny's gone, so we'll have Jared Zirkle. Punter, we'll still have Brett Thorson. I think we're going to have a great team next year to three-peat maybe, which if this trend keeps going that we're just repeating the 2010s just with different teams, next year we will fall short of the national title. But let's hope that that's not it. We break the trend and we win our third in a row. So this has been a great season. I appreciate all of y'all for tuning in to all of these and all of my videos that are highlights or top 10s or even documentaries that I've made. I'm so glad I could do this as a hobby at all. I'm glad I got into it. Yeah, I love doing it. And I hope that y'all have enjoyed this season just as much as I have. And hope that the off season is not as long as it's probably going to be for me. But anyways, thank you all so much for watching. Go Dawgs. And I'll be back next season with all of these reaction videos. So I hope y'all have a great day. Go Dawgs.